the CryptoKeeper, and BlockchainCrusader. Welcome to Debate Crypto. Ladies and gentlemen, it is a beautiful Wednesday night. It's a special evening. We have got the one and only MacNCheeasy in the house. What is up, brother? You ready to eat?
I'm excited. That's the first time I've heard the I believe, is that you on
Yeah, it
the
is.
B-roll?
It is. It is. It's my failing attempt to be the the preview guy.
I wouldn't say it's a fail by any stretch of the imagination. It's I think it's quite impressive. I might have to commission you on
Yeah, you have to
some
let
of
me
our
know, dude.
stuff.
I actually, it's funny because, and I never really recognized it until recently when we started the YouTube. For a long time, since I was little, everybody would say like, your voice is so distinct. You have a really nice voice, like for radio is what they always used to say. Cause I'm an old guy. Right. And now like, I never even recognized it. And I'm like, wow, like I talk on this a lot. We now have a YouTube and people actually like are hearing my voice. So maybe that's come to fruition. I don't know.
It's like it's the modern version.
Yeah, no doubt, no doubt. So Miguel, what do we have on the podium this evening, brother? What is going on with What If Wednesday, my man?
So we got MacNCheeasy on here. We're going to be talking about the metaverse. Will the metaverse be the destruction of society, or is it just the logical evolutional step that's next?
Ooh.
Excited for this.
That's that heat. So let's get right into it. Before we get into it, guys, if you are in the live chat, make sure you X out, smash up the likes. That super helps push the algorithm, push it out to more people. So we appreciate that. If you're not subscribed, obviously do your thing there. And if you're in TikTok, we are over on YouTube. Debate Crypto, no spaces. Come check it out. So yeah, let's get right into it. So Miguel, actually, yeah. So whatever, Miguel. Talk to me. Tell me, what is the metaverse?
So the metaverse, right? It's the online digital space where people come to interact. You know, you can think of a metaverse like many multiplayer games that you play are metaverses of its own kind. So it's a world where people digitally interact. Users come on there. You know, it can be 3D, 2D, but you know, lately the metaverse has been Decentraland, Sandbox, right? And people have seen the movie Player Ready One. They've seen the potential of what the metaverse can be. So that is the metaverse.
Yeah, I'm super like blown away by some of this. Austin, what are your thoughts on as we get into the metaverse? Like, so assuming that you agree that was a good description of what the metaverse is, who's going to be using this? Like what ways are we going to be using this? Who's going to be using the metaverse?
Unfortunately, I think a lot of people are going to be using the metaverse. I think kind of your first adopters are going to be your video game players. Metaverses, although the decentralized metaverse is like kind of a new and foreign concept, in some respects we've been playing on these universes more than like we haven't, right? So I grew up playing RuneScape. I grew up playing World of Warcraft. Like that's where I lived. Skyrim. Like I have too many hours on those platforms, and I'm used to it, right? But the difference is with those is it was a centralized entity. It lived and breathed on this platform. You have these currencies that you're using in RuneScape, in Skyrim, and it just stays there. But now it's like, okay, now we're going to use real money, and like we're going to have real stakes tied to it. And so it just seems like, okay, it's going to be the same people that use crypto first, your crypto people, your tech people, your video game players. And then I don't love the idea of metaverses just because they scare me, but unfortunately I think like a lot of people are going to be playing.
So let's dig on that. The very first thing that you said, right, was unfortunately was the word that you said at the start, right? It's the first thing that jumped out at me. I'm like, okay, this man is kind of hesitant on what's going on here. Tell me, and then Miguel, I want you to dig on this a little bit too. But Austin, tell me why you said unfortunately.
I believe this or not, believe it or not, I actually don't love social media. So like I don't love the digital world. In general, I think it's not necessarily healthy. I think there's some issues around it. Personally, like I don't even scroll TikTok that much. I'm primarily a TikToker. I don't even scroll TikTok. I produce, I create, but I try and not consume because I don't think it's necessarily healthy for people in general. And why am I like people and I like having conversations and I like the human aspect of
Yeah.
life. Call me
Yeah.
crazy, call it a hot take. I like in-person interaction, and everything's getting normalized on the internet, and it scares me because we know where it's going, right? I feel like it's almost inevitable, and I just like, oh no, I just don't want that to be the world that we live in.
Yeah. Miguel, what are your
Yeah.
thoughts on that?
So with that being, so yeah, I mean, my thoughts is exactly that, right? The future is getting dark. So are we seeing this becoming a dystopian future? In my thoughts, I believe so. We see what social media has done to people already, right? How addictive it's become, how unhealthy it's become for people. So imagine now when we go into a metaverse, whether it's with Google, with the Facebook goggles, or it's with the HTC Vive, and you're in there actually inside a metaverse, actually experiencing things with other people, their avatars, and now you're kind of disconnecting even more from the human interaction that MacNCheeasy was just talking about. People go out everywhere right now and they're with their phones on their face. They're sitting at a table at a restaurant. They're scrolling through Instagram. They're
Yeah.
scrolling through TikTok. They're talking to you and scrolling. So it's like
I hate it.
it's not enough. They cannot get away from that. Now imagine actually being inside a metaverse where people might not even go outside anymore. People's like, wait, I'm not gonna go hang out with you. Just I'll meet you in the metaverse. I'll meet you at this point or there, and we'll hang out there. I mean, it's gonna
It's
get dark quick.
it's so scary. Like the Instagram comparison. I go when I go out with my friends or something, I make it a point that like I at least try to be like, yo, we're not like don't put why is your phone out?
Put
Like
your
what
phone
is your
away.
phone doing? Like I have to when I'm sitting at the table with my parents and my family members, I have to legit be like, why is your phone out right now? Like what like I have to yell at them and like it's like it's so frustrating, and I don't know how we can stop this movement.
Right.
Is it even worth stopping? Again, another debate. Like, is that even like?
So yeah, I mean, so the question is, how do you see the metaverse? Do you see the metaverse becoming this leading to a dystopian future? And if you do, like, what does that, what
Yeah,
does
so
that
let
look
me
like?
let me just touch on one thing real quick. For those of you that maybe don't understand or don't know the word dystopian, right? Big word. Just want to make sure everybody's on the same page. It has a negative connotation, right? It is the opposite of utopia, dystopian. It's basically taking us into a dark, dreary place. Okay, and so when I first started to think on this, my mind takes off to just it does take off to movies, and Miguel and I were talking before the stream, right? And I said to Miguel, what if we've just watched too many movies, right? And what was your response, Miguel? Tell me.
Not enough movies, bro.
We
Not
haven't
enough
watched
movies.
enough movies. And I started to ponder on that. And I was like, wow, this is really where we're headed, right? So we obviously went to Black Mirror, started talking about Black Mirror. For those of you who haven't seen Black Mirror talks about basically the just wild things that could happen from the overstep of technology. And if you first of all, I think it's one of the best shows I've ever seen. Like it is, listen, there's stuff that you're going to feel is inappropriate. There's stuff that's just kind of like really like what in the world, they pushed that a really long way. But the reality is some of the thoughts and ideas that are brought up in this, I believe are valid. So because of that, it opens my mind up to say, okay, where does this go? So logically, first and foremost, the first thing that's going to start happening in the metaverse, I believe, correct me if I'm wrong, gents, but I believe the very first thing that's going to start to happen, besides just the social aspect of games or whatever, we're going to start operating businesses out. It's going to be money, right? We've got to make money. People are trying to earn new ways or, use new ways to make money. This is this new great thing, opportunity to make money. And I think it starts with money. Where does it go next?
So I think there's like what is it going to look like and feel like? And I don't know when this is going to actually happen, because if you've ever played like there's money there, but will that money be there 3 years from now, or is it like 10 years from now? I don't
Right.
know
We actually have that question for that. We actually have that question in the lineup. Like, not only where is this headed, but when is
So
this
I guess,
headed?
yeah, so let's talk about that later. But so
Yeah.
now, like, what happens after the money? Well, so the money will bring users,
Okay.
and where the users come, I think what the successful metaverses will provide is a sandbox and a platform where users can then create, and users can then be digital entrepreneurs. Like, and an interesting example is with how is the name? Well, what's the name where it's like a Minecraft,
Yeah. Yeah.
where like it was kind of this open platform and world, and it was like, all right, people, like, all right, nerds. I can say that because I'm a nerd. Like, all right, nerds, like, go do like what nerds do and create. So I think once the money's there, we can't have some sort of thing, and that's why the Facebook metaverse is a little scary, because it's probably not going to be permissionless. It's probably not going to be allow anybody to work on it. Um, Once there's the money, we need something that empowers creators and empowers the people so that they can properly like identify or create the future metaverse, like the world, like the world 2.0, which is I hate it but love it.
I like
Yeah.
to believe that the metaverse is going to be interoperable. Like, I like to believe that. But just like you just touched on, Austin, like, I don't know how. So Facebook claims, let's start on that. Facebook claims that they are going to give this technology away at cost. They didn't say they're going to give it away for free. They just said they're going to give it away at cost, right? So first of all, I call BS. I don't buy it. But second of all, let's say that they do. The reason that you quote unquote give something away at cost is the same reason that Facebook is free. Because guess what? You are the product, and you will continue to be the product. Even if you are another business wanting to join in, you are bringing a new user base to Facebook, right? To Meta, as it's called now. And so the scary part of it is Facebook, Amazon, and Apple, I would argue, and Microsoft probably, but three of those four, Google, right? Those five companies, I mean, they have massive amounts of control over the world that we live in today. Would we all agree with that? I believe we would, right?
Yeah, 100%.
Mm-hmm.
And so you have this company that's coming out and saying, okay, we are going to literally create, or we already have created, and now you're about to check it out, this new world that you can live in. And I think the scary thing for me when I first look at it is I think there's going to be a lot of people in this upcoming generation, my daughter's age, right? She's 5 months old, that this is going to grow up being normal. And I think that what I'm worried about is that the human interaction part that you were talking about, Austin, about the part that you crave, which I do too, right? I'm an old guy, right? I had a pager in high school, right? True story, right? And I'm worried that the human interaction is going to absolutely become awkward. Just like the first time I ever did a TikTok live stream. I've spoken in front of thousands of people, right? And have gotten comfortable with doing that, okay? The first time I ever did a TikTok live, I literally was nervous, okay?
Mm-hmm.
I don't know why, but I was nervous, and that's just a fact. And so what I think is going to happen is people are going to get so comfortable with not being, with not being in person, with being literally an avatar, that the moment that they get with somebody in person, it's like, oh, are they really the same person? Is this the, I mean, what are your thoughts?
Honestly, I don't think, that, in my opinion, that's not my biggest concern, honestly, about people's interactions. I think that's not going to really be a problem. Obviously, interactions always change with time, right? But the biggest problem
I
is,
don't know if I agree there.
Oh,
This
I
is
don't
where
agree
it
with
becomes
that.
debate crypto.
Okay.
So, I mean, there's
Okay.
bigger problems than the interaction of people. People will still interact, right? We've seen what happened with the fog around the world. The biggest don't interact with anybody moment, right? And people still are willing to interact,
Right.
even when, the situation is the way it is.
Already are weird.
But
Listen,
yeah,
I understand. People are weird. People are weird.
interact
But listen,
because of that.
what I'm saying is the bigger problems are lack of privacy. people are going to be spied on, especially with this Facebook metaverse, even more. So we're going to have we basically have no privacy now. We're going to have even less privacy then, more intrusion of our data being stolen and sold.
Yep.
Right. And those are bigger concerns. The other concern is that people will not just use the metaverse because they get awkward in real life. I think the problem is going to be people are going to use the metaverse as an escapism situation to escape their real life problems. And that's where the addiction is going to happen, where you get addicted to being inside the metaverse and prioritize the metaverse world, your life in there over real life, over your real interactions. That's going to be the problem, is escapism from the real world, not the awkwardness between people.
So I personally think like all of those are issues. Like every single thing with the metaverse is an issue. Like there are pros, and I'm sure we'll get to the pros of the metaverse, but like it's not going to be this like binary thing where it's like, all right, everyone's on the metaverse, nobody's on the metaverse. And the same way where we think it's like, it's not going to be a binary where it's like people no longer know how to interact versus how to interact. But like, look no further than like me when I go to a bar, right? And I'm trying to talk to people, like people are weird. Almost everyone is weird. And luckily, like I can kind of bullshit, or I could BS, excuse my French, but like I can kind of go up to people. But like when you go up to people at bars or whatever, like you get second looks, and like it's like weird if someone else tries to talk to you. And these are just like micro things that people, and then they look at their phone, they don't know what to say, they look at their phone, which is an escapism, right? When you pull out your phone to scroll Instagram when you're at a bar, that's because you don't know what to do, and you're escaping right there. So like
you want to look like you're entertained, that something's
right.
happening. You don't want to look like you're just lost,
because you don't feel comfortable enough to not be talking to somebody or not look like you're talking to somebody. And these are all things that are just like these micro ticks that have happened over time, where you pull out your phone instead of looking to talk to somebody. And now it's going to be like, instead of going downstairs to the bar, you're going to hop on a FaceTime. You're going to reach out to them on the metaverse because life is better in the metaverse. You might like, or whatever it is, like,
you don't have to get ready, right? Like all of a sudden you can just be this avatar, right?
That's definitely a pro, bro. That's definitely a pro.
And also like instant gratification. And the unfortunate reality with life is there's almost all the times it's deferred gratification. Like if you want something, and if you want to, like, let's say you want to be healthy, that's all deferred gratification. And with metaverses, you get instant gratification where you can change to a buff human being, or like a perfectly in shape person who looks amazing. And it's playing on this instant gratification, which is what we've grown to be accustomed to, instead of this deferred gratification, which is sad and unfortunate, because people are going to go to the instant gratification.
Oh, dude, I agree, right? And I think that's what I was talking about, escapism. Like in the movie Player Ready One, you see this guy lives in a trailer, in a vertical trailer home with there's basically no space, lives in a very bad situation, and his thing is go to the metaverse, make money. And the minute he started making money, what did he do? He invested in more gear to enter the metaverse. You think he went and bought himself a house and said, well, I'm out of the hood, I'm gonna go buy myself a house, right? No, he didn't. He bought himself more metaverse gear to interact even better in the metaverse. So that is definitely a problem.
Yeah. So I guess let me ask it this way. So we've been talking about like a lot of like negative comment, and we're going to dive deeper into this, but let me just ask with a one-word answer from each of you, Austin and then Miguel, and then I'll answer this. Austin, is the metaverse going to be more positive or negative overall?
Ooh.
Negative. I think negative.
What do you think, Miguel?
I'll say positive.
Okay. And I'm going to go with negative as well. So let's expound on that. Austin, why overall negative?
Because I think like Ready Player One, that world is like the world will become closer to that. Like you're gonna, and I don't like that world,
You're gonna
but
have to explain because some of us haven't even seen the movie. True
okay,
story.
so yeah, it was so basically what you're saying, like it's a dystopian outside society that it's not a nice world. It's very there's the top 1% that's like living high up, and then there's all like these slums that and everyone's on the living in a metaverse because that's where they spend most of their life. They don't care what they're doing in the real world. And that's scary. Like it's very scary.
Yeah.
And but I mean the benefit, like the pro is it levels the playing field for the entire world, and it you no longer it now gives people an opportunity who were born in places that might not have been so economically sound. They get an
But does it?
opportunity.
But does it?
Yes.
Because you've
Yes.
got to, but hold on, you've got to believe that people are going to flex, people are going to show who they are in the metaverse, and that's going to take capital. I guarantee it, right?
Well, yeah, but you also got to think about this, right? Think about Axie Infinity. Axie Infinity is not a full metaverse, but Axie Infinity is changing the world for people living in the Philippines
But
making
the players,
full-time salaries.
but the barrier to entry is high. The axes are not
Now,
cheap.
now it is, but not when it first started,
Okay,
right?
okay.
I wonder, yeah,
And they
so
have scholarship programs and
yeah,
stuff.
to your point, right? Like, is this just going to be a place where big money comes from the real world and then just funds into it? And I think the question there is what type of world is going to be built? Is there a world where it's a lot of user based, like, so for an example, right? Um, in RuneScape or something, you can level up
Okay.
and
Yep.
you can buy all the tokens you want. You can buy all the armor you want. But if you want to level up and become a better archer, a better blacksmith, you need to spend the time and you need to grind on there. So sure, if you had real world money, you could then buy the coins, which can then buy you the armor and stuff. But if there's certain trades or there's an internal economy in the metaverse, which I think will be needed,
Oh yeah.
um, there's an opportunity where it's like, okay, now you grind for this skill set. So somebody in Africa, somebody in the United States, somebody in Ireland, it's all a level playing field because it's like who wants it more, and
Yeah.
it's that seems interesting, and
Yes.
because now you're creating this world and this
Yeah,
dynamic.
to Austin's point, exactly right. The metaverse cannot be a pay to win world where people can just flood the market with money and then be at the top. It has to
Oh,
be
but can it? But can't it? Why not?
well, because then it wouldn't be. Then we're leading into a terrible metaverse, right? Where only the top are going to be winning. It's like GTA 5, right? We play GTA 5. That is a play to win game, right? People need to do microtransactions all the time and flood a bunch of money into the game to stay at the top of the game because everything is so expensive in there, and there's no way you can actually grind your way up and compete against these other players. So once you start becoming a pay to win, it definitely pushes people away from the game because a lot of people that play these games are not going to have that capital to be able to compete. So if you want a well-balanced metaverse, yes,
Okay.
there's going to be aspects like Austin was saying where you have money, but there also has to be an aspect of you using skill sets that will match somebody that might have more money than you but doesn't have the skill set that you do to perform well
And
in the
that's where
metaverse.
it's scary with Facebook, right? Because
Mhm.
we know that they're going to get a billion users in the metaverse, and then now what? Oh, it's no longer you have to grind. Oh, if you spend $10,000, you level up to here. Like if you pay
Yes.
for this ad, you come on the For You page. Like very quickly, a centralized entity that's creating a decentralized metaverse will get greedy. Like
So does
how
it?
many times do we have to see this story play out?
No, I totally agree with you, and I think that it's really crazy because does this does this lead more to if you can have all of these great things and earn money and do all of this stuff that's arguably good, bad, or indifferent, right? And you don't even have to ever leave where you live, right? Does this lead and sit, like tee the ball up to put you in a position where you're going to own nothing, in the real world and be happy. And that is a topic that I have heard people talk a lot about lately. So I guess my question is this: A, does it lead us there? And then B, all of this stuff that we're talking about, somebody in the comments said that, that maybe we're jumping out way too far, right? There is, and I forget what it's called, but I talked about it yesterday. There is a basically thing where it says we overestimate what we can do in the short term, but we underestimate what we can do in the long term, right? And so my question for both of you is on that thought, how far away are we from being Ready Player One-esque?
Ooh. So I don't think we're too far away, right? We already have the suits. They already exist out there. You can put the suits on. You can feel vibrations, interactions. You can wear gloves, actually physically grab things with your hands, feel it in your fingertips. It's not being mass produced to people, but it exists, right? You see the little treadmill that you strap yourself to so you can walk in any direction.
Oh, yeah.
So that exists already as well. You have the goggles. So it does. We're pretty much close already there. Just the actual metaverse. When it comes to equipment, we're kind of there. It's just not cost effective to be mass produced to people. But one thing we know about technology is technology evolves quickly. And the quicker it evolves, the cheaper it becomes to make. So next 5 to 10 years, you can see this equipment become very cheap, right? We saw what the HTC Vive used to cost 4 years ago. 4 years ago, when I bought it, the Vive cost practically $1,000, and it was the best. Well, I don't know what it is right now, but I'm saying Facebook's is coming out at $400. It's becoming more cost effective, right? But that's pretty much the same price as a PlayStation or an Xbox, and practically almost everybody has one. So it's becoming more cost effective. So the next 5 to 10 years, by the end of the decade, we can see drastic changes in price and have this equipment mass produced. We're literally just missing the actual world, the metaverse itself, to be diving into.
Yeah. What do you think, Austin?
Yeah, I think it's closer than we think. I mean, look at like the internet revolution, where when did the first computer come out? Like 1980s, like around then.
Mm-hmm.
So 1980s.
Well, the
and
first
then we
personal computer, yes.
The first personal,
obviously.
Personal computer. So the first personal computer was like 1980s, and then when did like the .com boom wasn't until 2000s, and then smartphones, let's call it 2010. So like that's 30 years right there to truly revolutionize the world. Bitcoin came out in 2009, so we're about 10 years in. So like 10 years into computers was 1990. Like we didn't have a smartphone. Like smartphone would have been absolutely ridiculous. So if you look at a 20-year horizon from now, and you look at the same trajectory that the internet did, I mean, why wouldn't this happen in the next 20 years? I can't find an answer why not, which is unfortunate. It's people like the real world though. I'm a believer. I always vote for humans, which is probably a bad thing because they don't always follow through. But I'm always team human, and by betting on team human, I bet on human interaction. So I'm cautiously pessimistic about the metaverse.
I think that the timeline one is an interesting one because we've seen technology move at such a rapid pace at this point that I think it's going to be very interesting to see if it's more towards 5 years or 20 years, right? I'm inclined to think it's going to be closer, me personally, to 5 than 20. I think that 10-year mark to get to the point kind of where we're talking about. But I do think that we're going to see it, right? I think that life is already changing as we know it, right? And so I don't want to. I've got a fantastic. You know what? I'm going to ask it right now because we've still got more to dig into. But
wait, hold on. Before you jump into the next question, to the point that you're saying about the timeline, people need to wrap their head around that. You were talking about 5 to 10 to 20 years. This is not a linear progression. We don't need to linearly get there. All these things are happening parallel, right? The internet is growing parallel to blockchain is growing. The blockchain technology, the metaverse, video games, right? The gaming world is growing parallel to those two worlds. Cryptocurrency is growing parallel to all that. All these things are coming together. The hardware for this to be used is growing parallel to all these. It's literally just coming to a merging point where they all meet together, and now they can combine to become this thing. It's not a one step, then next step, then next step. It's all happening at once, and that's why it's going to happen a lot sooner than we think.
So then, I'm not even going to ask the question I was about to ask. I'm going to ask you a totally different one. So then, what are we headed for? Are we headed more for augmented reality first, or is the full on metaverse first, and it's being introduced right now to make people comfortable with the idea of seeing basically people as avatars, this, that, and the third. And then the next step is augmented reality, where like we're in real life, but I can think about how wild this would be. I'm walking down the street. Austin and Miguel are walking towards me, right? I let's just say I don't even have on a pair of glasses. They've got it to where it's like in contacts, right? I look at Austin. It says TikTok profile, MacNCheeasy, 100,000 plus followers, and immediately I can assess who this man is, not only in like likes, dislikes, things that he's interested in. Like I wonder if we're going to be able to get to a point where we can either activate or deactivate other people's ability to see who we are and what we're doing.
Which do you think is, if you could have a world, because augmented reality is interesting too, right? That's just as scary. Like you're introducing like this social credit score, which I think is disgusting, but it's like, which would you rather win? Like if in the world where it's like truly, like it's truly embraced, dystopian? And like everybody, not necessarily dystopian, we're assuming dystopian, but there is worlds where this is not
just going to happen.
And like, which would you rather wins the battle, an augmented reality or a meta universe?
I personally, that's easy for me. Augmented reality all the way for me.
Me too.
Because I love people. I really do. And like, though I think the metaverse is going to be super cool, and I think we're going to have fun, right? I think that the idea that I could still face to face like Miguel, look at it this way, dude. If you didn't live in Florida and I lived in Ohio, would you not be sitting on the couch across from me doing this right now, right? We would choose to be together, right? And but the option that we do have now that's coming up that we're getting into is we're going to start meeting in the metaverse. And guys, spoiler alert, Miguel and I are going to be live streaming from the metaverse, and that's going to be happening. We are working on that right now. That's going to be happening relatively soon, and it's going to be fun, and it's going to be new, and it's going to be fresh, and it's going to be cool. But to your question, I would rather have Miguel have Austin sitting across from me on the couch that I have in my studio and doing what we're doing now and pushing it out to people if I had the option. So for me, the augmented reality is where I think it's at.
So I'm different, right? For me, I like the augmented reality. I like that the human interaction will still occur, right? If the metaverse existed, I would still hang out with you guys in person. It didn't matter. But I would choose the metaverse for the simple fact that, dude, with the metaverse, you can become immortal, right? The next step after being in the metaverse.
Tell him the Facebook thing that you said the other day.
I believe Zuckerberg is going to digitize his consciousness to live as an AI inside his metaverse forever. That is going to happen. This guy is not going to die. You know how they talk about Walt Disney being frozen and they're going to bring him back later. You're telling me that elites like Zuckerberg isn't thinking like, how can I live forever? Don't worry about the ice cube scenario. I'm just going to digitize myself. I have the company, I have the hardware, I have the resources. I'm going to make it happen. So immortality will be the reason why I choose the metaverse.
Immortality in a digital sense.
Yeah, existing inside the metaverse forever, right?
What's interesting is like the true like yogis, like the true like Buddhists, right? They would say that this is part of life. Like, why are we even trying to fight it? Like if the metaverse is like, if that's just end of the day, we're just animals on this planet. And like, if the course of human history brings us to a metaverse type civilization, and then that's what life is, then that's like, let it happen. Like, that's just where we're going.
Yeah, to that point, I like to think about it the way of like, when it comes to biblical senses, like God created us, right, in his image, and in all of humanity, all we've ever done is try to imitate God, do what he can, create life, do everything that God can do. And our next step is creating worlds, whether they're digital, whether they're from cloning and creating new species on interplanetary galaxies, right? Creating worlds and becoming immortal is going to be the next imitation that we want to do when we talk about biblical senses and imitating God.
So then my question with that becomes, if we're going to get biblical with it, my question is, are we, do you just with your belief, whether you're a Christian, not a Christian, atheist, I don't care. Do you believe that this could possibly be the end times that the Bible talks about as it relates to some of the things that are going on? Is possibly, and I've heard this thrown out there, is possibly this, you've seen like people getting like chips. I think over in Sweden, they have like these chips that they're putting into people's hands to open doors and unlock their car and do all of these different things. Mm-hmm. Is that where you think we're headed? I mean, does that really, in a real sense, do you think that?
Well, it's not the end times if you're digitally immortal, right? So, but what you're saying, I understand, right? Yes, it's gonna get very dark, or it could get very dark, because at the end of the day, we're humans, and that is the problem. The problem is that technology is a beautiful thing and can help
we're
lot.
Evil by nature, man.
But we corrupt things. Yeah. And yes, the technology will be abused at one point or another, where it whether it's a microchip or it's like Austin was saying, that Facebook Metaverse isn't going to be permissionless. There's going to be requirements to be on there, to have a business on there, and whether that's a microchip or some type of license or some type of whatever, it's going to be corrupted in some format. It could be you got to pay a subscription. You got to be paying, an organ to be on there, and your whole livelihood depends on being on the metaverse to be making money. So you're going to kind of be forced to, because in real world, maybe, supply chains, right? All these jobs are disappearing. The robots are taking over. There is no more jobs. So people are going to have to be being pushed augment into the metaverse to create digital jobs on there and be working in there, while the robots are working in real life. It's going to be a matrix scenario,
Yeah. What were you going to say, Austin? I saw you wanted to.
Again, me betting on humans, which is stupid, which is almost always loses. We're talking about the negatives, right? And we're talking about Zuckerberg and the Facebook metaverse, but like, how about the alternative, where it's entirely a decentralized platform that empowers people across the globe, and it now, where we can remove borders, we can limit these things that were resource. Like, there is a world where because I also think with the economy, right? The economy, from a zooming out, the amount of jobs that are existing is slowly like decreasing, right? So as computers get more advanced, as you can automate out positions, the amount of the jobs that are getting like obsolete is just increasing, and that's only going one direction. So the economy that we live in today versus 20 years ago versus 20 years from now are going to have to be completely different, because we have too many people and we don't have enough jobs. So maybe there is a world where the metaverse can effectively create an entirely new economy where people across the world can have a business, can have a form, and instead of going to the office and where you work for your 9 to 5, like, why is that much more different? You're just hopping on a train, you're sitting down, you're going into an office, you're repeating that Monday through Friday for your entire life. Like, why is that much more different than putting on a VR set, doing whatever you have to do for that economy, for whatever that business is, and then taking it off? And then you can do that anywhere, and now you can live where you want to live with your family, wherever you want to live. You don't need to worry about going to a country and paying remittance payments. Like, maybe that's the world that happens, and that's why I don't think Zuckerberg's and the Facebook's metaverse is going to win, because I want to bet on the crypto community, which is historically isn't going to play nicely to
So
Zuckerberg.
that's so fantastic segue into what I wanted to ask you. So first of all, let me just say I like that idea. The idea that this has a lot of potential to be bad, but it also has potential for us as humans to rise up, be better, right? And take advantage of an opportunity, because you're right. The jobs are getting less and less and less, and they are changing more and more and more and more, right? For vehicles, there's not going to be mechanics that much more for that much longer. It's going to be computer programmers. It's going to be techs that are computer savvy, because the whole freaking car runs on computers now, right? So I do agree with you. And so that leads me into to my next question here. And I think this is a really interesting idea, if I do say so myself, right? So ultimately, is crypto a part of the problem or part of the solution as it relates to this future that we call the metaverse? Are we part of the problem? Are we part of the solution? Or where do we lie? I'll say, so we're the solution. Miguel, what do you think?
I think it's a combination of both the problem and a solution. Like the, but I'll let MacNCheeasy take it on first.
Yeah, I'm with you. Hit it, Austin. I'm with you that it's a solution.
So crypto, kind of what I was touching on like earlier, that we think that Satoshi Nakamoto, maybe without Satoshi Nakamoto, crypto would have never existed. But I don't think that's the case. I think this is just like a natural progression of life. And with crypto is permissionless and allows anybody in the world to get into it. And that ethos is, every first adopter who's gotten into crypto has been brought up by that ethos, that the ethos that we are decentralized, that we are a community, and people will leave, right? A year from now, people will leave retail, but the people that are going to build this thing, hopefully, have been brought up with this ethos. And that's the beauty of crypto. And Facebook is reactively getting into this. They weren't creating crypto. Why? Because they can do whatever the hell they want and they're going to keep it BAU. Now they're getting into crypto because they see it as an opportunity. But I think the foundation in the community is there, and a lot of money has been made in the crypto community. And I know we're worried about Facebook because they have fat bags, but I'll tell you one thing. There are a lot of crypto people that have very fat bags, because people that weren't in crypto, they're pumping their bags. So I think crypto, because let's say Facebook created a crypto-esque, like say Satoshi never existed, and then Facebook came out with their own cryptocurrency and was like, hey, anybody can use this, anybody can build on it, whatever, go wild. Now there wouldn't even be that foundational layer of this ethos, and then now they're setting the tone and they're setting it. But because we were early, 10 years early, I think we have the strong foundation, and I think it's on people like us to make sure that we keep that route going.
That's an interesting thought, for sure. Go ahead, Miguel. What do you?
Yeah. So the reason why I think crypto is part of the problem, the reason why it's part of the solution is the obvious, right? The making money, the good things that, like DeFi, permissionless money, that's good stuff. Those are solutions that crypto has brought. But the problems that crypto has brought is, we think of Satoshi as this great savior, but we don't know who Satoshi is. What if this, like you said, it was all part of the plan anyways? And we see that there's patterns from the NSA, the CIA, from back in the 90s, thinking about digital money already. What if they were the ones that were creating this in the first place? And there's the whole thing about one world government, one world currency taking over, and that's where crypto is leading. Crypto is leading the way for that, right? To take away this competition of countries and money and have borderless money. That's what crypto is doing. And the fact that it's decentralized, we're on a public ledger where everything can be tracked, where everything can be seen. These are negatives that are causing the problem for the metaverse to also be dystopian in the future, because it's less privacy and more invasion, and just everything seems like it's for a great incentive, like the savior complex, but at the same time it could be very elite, bad people in the background playing us as puppets, getting us all enthusiastic about this Bitcoin and stuff. But we know that elites and people that are super rich have been buying Bitcoin for a long time before Bitcoin even blew up. So they've already packed their bags. Now we have Wall Street institutions trying to pack their bags. But the people running the show have been in it long enough where this great transfer of wealth that we talk about all the time has happened, and is going to leave people even broker than ever. When the dollar continues to get devalued, by the time people jump into Bitcoin, they're only going to be able to afford crumbs of Bitcoin, while these other people have already packed their bags with hundreds, even thousands of Bitcoins, at a point where their family lineage is set for life, forever, more than what they already were with whatever real estate empire or oil empire that they had already. So go ahead.
I didn't mean to cut you off. I didn't.
No, that was it.
Okay. So sorry about that. Okay. I totally think that overall crypto is a part of the solution. I think we have, as a whole, with the exception of just the bad side of humanity as a whole, which is, the scammers and schemers, right? Take that, but you have that in regular life too. It's not just crypto. It's just not so in your face, right? So I think that it's part of the solution, because I think that it also somewhat starts to give some. This is the first opportunity that we, as the common man, right, have had the opportunity to truly advance. Like, I have literally given myself, by deciding to get into crypto, I have given myself, my daughter, my wife, and my family a very, very good opportunity, right? Like a really good opportunity. And it's happening now. It's coming to fruition for generational wealth, right? And so that had to start somewhere, and it had to start with an opportunity to do something a little bit different. And so I think crypto can be that. So I love it.
I think the interesting thing is, because there is, right, it's not necessarily a decentralization of wealth. Unfortunately, there will still be that top holders, and in fact, maybe it's even more of a concentration of top holders. But I think the question is, who had the opportunity to get this wealth? Anybody in the world had the opportunity to get this wealth. Like, Bitcoin wasn't pre-mined. If you started mining when Satoshi mined, then you had the opportunity to make the Bitcoin, and it's been an open market. And I think what is hopefully the case is that the people that are holding the fat bags remember this and know that they didn't wake up into, they didn't have this, like, the decentralization nature of it means that I think the people at the top will appreciate this ethos. But who knows? And I think there could be a whole another episode about, like, the coins in Satoshi's wallet. Like, right? Yeah. I think the longer those don't move, that event's going to be literally the biggest event in human history, potentially, when those coins move, because they'll have 10% of the entire global economy in the palms of their fingers. Like, that is interesting. Like, if that's the US government, if that's any government, like, okay, watch out.
Yeah. So my point to what you both are saying about, right, that it's kind of like they're giving us this opportunity, right? Anybody could have bought Bitcoin, but I think that's part of the plan, right? They can't force it upon us. If the government or anybody would have came out many years ago and said, hey, the dollar is trash, here's this digital thing called Bitcoin, this is the solution, buy it, hold it, people would be like, no, I don't want this thing. Been very skeptical. The fact that they released it and then said, just let it take root on its own, give people opportunity to think that they're the ones driving this and it's their thing, not ours, gives it foundation to then be like, ha, 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 we're running the show, right? They're running puppets. The same thing with the metaverse. They're letting us believe that the metaverse is our thing, that we are the ones that are going to thrive in there.
So
And it's going to be,
are you suggesting that the metaverse is a distraction, that it's like us going to a college football game? Like it's literally like
yes,
with the Romans, they piled everybody in for the
yes,
games. You think that the metaverse is that distraction for us
yes.
while
The
all the other
metaverse,
chaos is going on?
the metaverse is that distraction. Bitcoin and cryptocurrencies are that distraction as well. They're giving some of us, right? Some of us of the population. What's the population in crypto? Like what? 2-3% in the entire world
I don't even
getting
know
Less than
getting in.
that. It's like, I don't even 0%
It's some
of the world.
very small
a
amount,
very
right?
small amount, yeah.
That are getting in, have made lots of money. We're creating generational wealth for ourselves, and awesome. And we talk about it, we love it, and we tell more people, right? So this is their opportunity, and many will take part of the opportunity, and we'll all fall in different parts of that space. Some will make more money than others, but everybody would have an equal opportunity. But at the end of the day, this is what is part of the program. Is they're the ones that are running the show, giving us the thought of we have free will and freedom, right? One of the things that happened during World War II, and it's talked about in the I reference it all the time in the Captain America Winter Soldier movie, when they meet the Nazi professor that's digitized. He says it. He goes, one thing that we learned was that if you force the world to give up its freedoms, they will resist. But if you convince them to give it up themselves, they will willingly give up their rights. And that's exactly what is happening with crypto and the metaverse. We're being shown like if we're the ones in control, and it's not happening.
But that's
that way.
like in the world where that exists, sure. But in reality, not in reality because we don't know. But it's the exact opposite. That's the case. We're banking the bankless. That anybody in the world, like, in fact, the people I think. I don't know. Again, human, team human, but like the crypto, you might be giving the government too much credit.
I'm not saying the government specifically,
or whoever
I'm not saying the
is.
U.S. government is out there scheming this themselves, but the people running the show, which is a large amount of people, they're definitely more than capable. These people run the world. These people have all the resources.
But why would
imagine.
Why would they self-destruct their own?
But they're not self-destructing. They're benefiting more than anybody else.
He's basically putting the idea out that now we have a totally open system for everyone.
Yes,
to be
it's like when you research a project, right? When you research a project and it says, well, the holders have 80% and there's only 20% for everybody else, you'll be like, wait, that's a red flag.
So we're talking about
Bitcoin
that is going to be the digital gold, which is great. But like, look at Ethereum, right? Mm-hmm. Anybody can develop on that, and unless Vitalik is this mastermind,
I'm not saying he's a mastermind. I'm saying he's also a puppet falling along the lines of making us think that we're the ones in control.
Yeah,
of this show.
I think
he's talking that we're all cartel stuff, like Ben.
You're all.
That's what he's saying.
Yeah, I see the point, and I see that it's impossible to know, right? That's the whole idea of it. The whole idea is that like there's people above the people that even know, and
people don't know they're even puppets, and they're a puppet.
Do you believe that the richest men in the world are not on a list?
I don't. I think the richest people we're aware of who the richest people are. I don't believe
you believe that Jeff Bezos and Elon Musk are the wealthiest men on earth. I don't know what I believe on that.
Until Satoshi,
but I'm just
Satoshi's going to be the wealthiest entity eventually, but I just don't think that, like, who is it then? Like, Bezos runs the world. Like, Amazon runs the world already. Like, who is Bezos answering to?
Well, I think what Nick is trying to say is that there are people like these people that we're referring to, right? This Illuminati status people that we don't know their names, but they have the wealth, and they make sure they stay out of the spotlight, that nobody knows who they are in the first place, right? There's plenty of wealthy families that are not on record anywhere doing anything, but they exist if you do enough research. But it's irrelevant whether they're on a list or not, because even if we know who they are, we don't know what they are doing, and there's no way for us to track what they're doing because they have so much resources. They can diversify down so rapidly that there's no way to track it back to them
So that we
about
don't
who's doing what.
so that we don't take it too far here. Let me pull this back in a little bit. How
Yeah.
does that how does all of this chaos that's happening in the world today, how can the metaverse help be a step forward towards a solution, right? So Austin, you said that you
Good question. Good
believe
question.
in you believe in the human race, right? So my question is, we're talking about this metaverse, we're talking about all the bad things that could happen, we've talked about some good things that could happen. How do we ultimately harness what's in front of us to be able to help our society not go dystopian but go utopian?
I think it's just making sure it stays permissionless, and it's not pay to play. It's work to play,
Yeah.
and I think it's about trying to intertwine real world things. It's a tough question, and I don't know if there's a set answer, but I
Yeah.
think the importance is remember why crypto was created in the first place. And there's going to be micro decisions that happen along the way by everybody who's involved. And I think each micro decision that's made has to keep this end goal in mind, that we want to create a better world.
Yeah.
And what those decisions are, I don't know, but I think the people that are design it, I want the people building it to be everyone and not an individual calling the shots.
Yeah. So to that point of MacNCheeasy of Austin saying is we need a metaverse that is interoperable with many other metaverses. There can't be one metaverse that runs everything inside of it. There can't be a centralized point. So we need to have something where it's just kind of like what Polkadot's trying to do, right? Interoperability, make all the blockchains. We have all these blockchains that don't communicate with each other. We need something, some type of software that can, all these metaverses can exist and they can all be interoperable. You can jump from one to the next with all your resources, with all your NFTs, with all your ownership from one to the next and be seamless. So if one becomes corrupt, if one is not what we want it to be, we can jump off and not lose what we've already gained inside the metaverse. So that's a very good, a very strong, important thing for the healthiness of the metaverse. And when it comes to, I've said a lot of negative things about the metaverse, but some very positive things that I think the metaverse will bring is imagine all the people in hospice. Imagine all the people that are sick, are paralyzed, they can't deal with regular life in those aspects. Those people can jump into a metaverse and enjoy a whole nother world where they have none of those illnesses, where they have none of those limitations. Wow. So that right there is a beautiful thing that technology will bring, right? People that maybe they die in a freak accident, or maybe they're dying of some type of illness and they're young, right? What if they can digitize their consciousness and go into the metaverse, and you won't lose that loved one, and you can jump in the metaverse and visit them and hang out with them and talk to them.
Well, that's a Black Mirror episode in and of itself.
Yes. So like that is those are beautiful things of the metaverse that could definitely be very good positives of for humanity, right?
Yeah, I think the whole idea behind it is just so new and so revolutionary, and such a I think that because we have so many movies and the movies play on all of the just awful, crazy, and bad ways that it can go. I think that's literally we call it programming as it relates to movies, to the news, it's programming. So I think we have been programmed to believe that, hey, this has got to be some sort of a setup. This has got to be some sort of scheme. Same thing with crypto. Think about how many people jump into our live streams on TikTok and say crypto's a scam. They're just out to get your money. It's a Ponzi scheme, whatever. And I think that a big part of that is because we are so programmed to not just question. Listen, I don't think you should just blindly follow anything, right? But it goes beyond just questioning, and it goes to the point where it's like kind of like the opposite of what Austin was saying. Austin said he believes in humankind, and it's literally taking the whole other side of the argument and saying, listen, as a rule, I actually said it earlier and I didn't mean it to come off this way, but as a rule, humans are evil. I don't believe that. I think that people, as a general rule, are good. I just think that deep down inside of every human is a selfish person. And so when it comes to everyday life, At the end of the day, you would be lying. All of us would be lying if we said, hey, look, if my loved ones can all have a fantastic day and my day every day is fantastic, I'm with it, bro, because people do take themselves into account first, right? And so I hope and I like to believe that there is going to be a lot of good that comes out of this, whether we recognize it right now or not. Austin, you look like you wanted to say something.
No, well, one thing is just like maybe maybe it's a better world. Like maybe we enjoy it more. Who are we to say that our world right now is the optimal world?
It's just because
100%.
we are so, and I guess I'll kind of wrap it up on this. We're so resistant to change. And so this is a change. Crypto is a change. So crypto's a scam, crypto's a Ponzi scheme, whatever the case may be, it's because of the change. Now we have this thing where basically we are going to be, as people look at it, video gaming ourselves, right? And it's like, wait a minute. No. Like when I've talked to my wife about this, right? She literally is like, you do know how crazy you sound, right? And I'm like, babe, I was talking to her about buying digital real estate, right? And she, we've been talking about what we're going to do with some of our crypto, funds and this, that, and the third. And I said, I really am looking at digital real estate. And she's like looking at me as if I have 6 freaking feet coming out of my head or something. Like there's just something wrong. And I do think that it's just going to be different. And there is going to be changes in our future is setting up to be different.
Yeah.
And I think that's okay.
Just how the social media game has changed the world, how people run their businesses. And at first, everybody thought social media was just a kid's thing that would jump on and talk and all that stuff. Now people are running businesses and marketing on social media. If you're not doing that, your business is probably not doing well.
Yep.
Digital space, digital land, real estate is the next frontier. There's only a limited amount in the real world. And just how when we've spoken about this, right? Just how people, when they left Europe to come to America and they claimed that as the new world, people came looking for new opportunities, new ways of getting land, becoming someone that they couldn't be in the previous world because the competition was too high, that they didn't have the right opportunities, and they risk it all in this new space to create these new opportunities for themselves. And a lot of families became rich. A lot of families, grew exponentially from where they were previously. The digital frontier is the same exact thing. That's exactly what Elon is trying to do with space, right? The space frontier, evolve humans interplanetary. Well, we're also going to be digital beings at one point or another. It's just another way of, concrete, cementing our existence for a longer period of time.
Yeah. I think it's super interesting. So yeah, just want to first of all say thank you, Austin. We appreciate you coming on, brother. It has been a pleasure. Yep. I knew when we were like, you know what, we need to bring Austin on. He's great. I knew that bringing you on a What If Wednesday was going to be fantastic, was going to be perfect, because I like how you are very philosophical and think through things. So I just want to say thank you for coming on, dude. We appreciate it. Austin, before we jump off here, tell me real quickly about your incubator.
Yeah. So, I've said it a bunch on this video, right? I bet on people, and that's what the incubator is trying to do. We're trying to bet on people, and we're trying to improve. We're trying to grow as a community. Sure, right now it's a lot in crypto, but that's just, I think, a nature of what's going on in the world. The world is moving to crypto, and I think right now the best thing you can probably do is start learning about crypto. So the incubator, we have a YouTube channel. It's a Discord community, but there's a bunch of people in there, and it's like-minded individuals who are just trying to help each other grow. Right now, as we become a digital world, your local tribe, so to speak, is becoming smaller and smaller, and you don't necessarily have these relationships where you can learn from others and kind of have a space where you truly can speak openly, just because there's a lot of judgment that goes around. And what the internet's provided and what Discord is, the ability to create communities where you can talk about your goals and not necessarily feel ashamed or embarrassed, because these are internet friends. They don't know you more than anything. So the incubator, it's all about learning and growing And it's my attempt, our attempt, the community's attempt to bet on people and to bet on the future of communities.
And where do they find where do they find this, Austin?
They find it. They can search for it, the incubator on YouTube. That
we're
you'll
gonna
see
provide.
videos.
We're gonna provide all your socials in the description of the video, so you guys can find you there.
You can find it on YouTube channel. There you'll see any video will have the Discord link.
Cool.
I'm on TikTok. I'm on Instagram. If you hop in any of my if you've seen content with me, I'll find a way to talk about the incubator because I'm team human, and I think there's ways to help people, and that's the goal. And right now, crypto I think is one of the best ways to do that.
That's what's up. Well,
Yeah,
thank
100%.
you again for coming on, man. We Crypto fam, if no one's told you before today, we freaking love you. We love humanity as well. Austin's not the only in the room, okay? We love you guys.
And I do want to say that I think what you're doing is amazing on this channel. And I think
Thank you, man.
the amount of I preach consistency, I preach effort, and I think the work works. And what you guys are doing on this channel, it's awesome. Keep it going. Get that 1% better every day. And I think what the two of you are doing is awesome.
Heck yeah, dude.
Thank you, man.
very much.
Awesome. Anybody watching right now, if you're not subscribed yet, hit that subscribe button. If you're not following MacNCheeasy on TikTok, on YouTube, on Discord, find the socials. They're going to be in the description after the stream. Check them out. Follow him, guys.
Do it up, guys. I will talk to you all soon. Oh shoot, sorry. Of course, my phone's going off right at the
outro.
There. But yeah, we love you guys. We hope you have a wonderful night. Do your thing. We will talk to you guys soon. And until next